Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Okay, we'll continue with our daily reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 4, Chapter 2. For that, start with the Mangala Charana. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chant the prayers together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadev, the author. Nashta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Okay. Chapter 2, Daksha curses Lord Shiva. We did till text 19 the previous time, so we'll do text 20 through 26 today. And our focus verse for focus today is text 26. We'll start with translation for text 20.
Upon understanding that Lord Shiva had been cursed, Nandisvara, one of Lord Shiva's principal associates, became greatly angry. His eyes became red and prepared to curse Daksha and all the brahmanas present were there who had tolerated Daksha's cursing Shiva in harsh words.
Yeah. So we know where this is happening, right? Where is this happening? In this assembly, huge assembly where everybody has come to perform this huge sacrifice, right? You have these demigods there, all these brahmanas, all these prajapatis, everybody, including Brahma is there and Lord Shiva is there. And then when Daksha came in, he noticed that Lord Shiva didn't stand up for him. And he got very, very angry and spoke horribly about Lord Shiva and cursed Lord Shiva and just walked away. And now this is continuing. So you have these curses, and now we have counter curses in this section for the curse that Daksha gave. So Nandishvara, like Prabhupada says, is a very, very close associate of Lord Shiva. And he was very upset at everybody who was there who didn't speak a word. That's what happened, right? When Daksha was upset, they were trying to pacify him when he was leaving the arena. He said, don't go, it's okay. But nobody said anything about him cursing Lord Shiva. So Nandishvara was very upset about it. And now in this section, basically gives counter curses to everybody who has cursed Lord Shiva. Okay, text 21.
Anyone who has accepted Daksha as the most important personality and neglected Lord Shiva because of envy is less intelligent, and because of visualizing in duality will be bereft of transcendental knowledge.
Have you seen this before, where somebody who should not see duality saw duality? Basically what duality here was, oh, I am friends with Daksha, I am enemies with Shiva. Right? That's the duality that they are seeing. We have read in the Bhagavatam before, in Canto 3, about an instance where this duality of a person who should not have seen duality in that place caused big problems. Do you remember it? I'll give you a clue. This happened in Vaikunta. Jai and Vijay. Right? So Vaikunta is a place where you don't see these dualities. Right? Then when the Kumaras had come, Jai and Vijay were like, we can't let you in. And this was the same argument. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. Is like a spiral. The spiritual education is like a spiral. We go through the same points again and again. But every time it's a little deeper and deeper and deeper in understanding. So Bhagavatam gives us so many instances of these situations where seeing dualities can cause horrible problems. And this is Nandi's point, is that you all consider yourself to be so intelligent. You're the leaders of this entire universe. Right? Your Prajapatis and your Brahmanas sitting in that assembly. But you've fallen into this duality of this world of considering people enemies and friends. And you've not said anything. Therefore, what use is your knowledge? So he's cursing them to be bereft of that knowledge. You know this, but in spite of knowing this, you've not done anything. Right? So that's his first curse. Okay, let's continue.
Pretentiously religious householder life, in which one is attracted to material happiness and thus also attracted to the superficial explanation of the Vedas, robs one of all intelligence and attaches one to fruitive activities as all in all.
Text 23. Daksha has accepted the body as all in all. Therefore, since he has forgotten the Vishnupada or Vishnugati and is attached to sex life only, within a short time he will have the face of a goat.
The first victim of Nandi's curse was the person who actually cursed Lord Shiva, like Daksha cursed Lord Shiva that he would not get any part from the sacrifice, right? From when you offer sacrifice, there are several demigods to whom each part of your sacrifice goes to. He said Lord Shiva will be bereft of it. So now Nandishvara is giving this curse because Daksha's problem with Lord Shiva was based on his bodily relationship. Right? This was the very core of why he was upset. That, oh, he is related to me as a son-in-law and he didn't give me respect. He didn't see beyond the body beyond the bodily relationship of how exalted Lord Shiva was. So therefore, he's forgotten Vishnupada or Vishnugati, that this is the lotus feet of Vishnu, right? Vishnupada or Vishnugati is the shelter of Vishnu, and therefore is attached to sex life. Unfortunately, Prajapatis have to do it. They are progenitors of the world, but you have to do it in a way that doesn't blind you. In Daksha's case, it was completely blinding to him. Okay, text 24. You want to read, Raseshwari?
Those who have become as dull as matter by cultivating materialistic education and intelligence unnecessarily involved in fruitive activities. Such men have purposely insulted Lord Shiva. May they continue in the cycle of repeated birth and death.
Okay, text 25.
May those who are envious of Lord Shiva, being attracted by the flowery language of the enchanting Vedic promises, and who have thus become dull, always remain attached to fruitive activities.
Can we read the purport? It's very nice. Why the Vedas are called flowery? It's just a few lines. Can you?
The Vedic promises of elevation to higher planets for a better standard of materialistic life are compared to flowery language, because in a flower there is certainly an aroma, but that aroma does not last for a very long time. In a flower there is honey, but that honey is not eternal.
Yeah. So these are the problems with these sections of the Vedas that say, hey, you can get to this planet if you go, where you can have a very comfortable life, or you can get riches and things like that. It's a very temporary thing. It's a very nice analogy, no? Flower, and how Prabhupada is comparing that to the... I'm thinking this has incredible fragrance, the the garland today. It'll go away in 2 days. Okay, text.
Text 26.
26. So we'll do the Sanskrit. This is our verse for focus today. Sarva bhaksha dvijavrityai
Sarvabhakta Divya
dhrita vidya tapovrata
Ritai Vidyai Tapovrata
vitta dehendriya rama
Vidyadrendriyayama
yachaka vicharantviha
Yachaka Vicharanantiva
sarva bhaksha dvijavrityai
Sarvabhaksa Vichavitye
dhrita vidya tapovrata
Vidya Tapovrata
vitta dehendriya rama
Vittadehendriya Rama
yachaka vicharantviha.
Yachaka Vichatran Iha.
Somebody want to chant? Sarva bhaksha dvijavrityai dhrita vidya tapovrata vitta dehendriya rama yachaka vicharantviha. Sarva bhaksha dvijavrityai
Vidya tapovrata
dhrita vidya tapovrata vitta dehendriya rama vicharantviha yachaka vicharantviha. Matajis. Sarva bhaksha dvijavrityai dhrita vidya tapovrata vitta dehendriya rama Yachaka vicharantviha. Sarvabhakshadvijavrityai. Tritavidya tapovrita. Vittadehendriya rama. Yachaka vicharantviha. Okay, the word for word translation. Sarvabhaksha, eating everything. Dvija, the brahmanas. Vrityai, for maintaining the body. Dritavidya, having taken to education. Tapa, austerity. Vrata, and vows. Vitta, money. Deha, the body. Indriya, the senses. Arama, the satisfaction. Yachaka, as beggars. Vicharantu, let them wander. Iha, here. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. These Brahmanas take to education, austerity and vows only for the purpose of maintaining the body. They shall be devoid of discrimination between what to eat and what not to eat. They will acquire money begging from door to door simply for the satisfaction of the body. Can somebody read the purport?
The third verse inflicted by Nandishvara on the Brahmanas who supported Daksha is completely functioning in the age of Kali. These so-called Brahmanas are no longer interested in understanding the nature of the Supreme Brahman, although a Brahmana means one who has attained knowledge about Brahman. In the Vedanta Sutra, it is stated, Atatta Brahma Jignasa. This human form of life is meant for the realization of the Supreme Brahman, the Absolute Truth, or in other words, human life is meant for one's elevation to the post of a Brahmana. Unfortunately, the modern Brahmanas, or so-called Brahmanas, who come in originally Brahminical families, have left their own occupational duties, but they do not allow others to occupy the posts of Brahmanas. The qualifications for Brahmanas are described in the scriptures, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and all other Vedic literatures. Brahmana is not a hereditary title or position. If someone from a non-Brahmana family, for example, one born in a family of Sudras, tries to become a Brahmana by being properly qualified under the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, these so-called Brahmanas will object. Such Brahmanas, having been cursed by Nandishvara, are actually in a position where they have no discrimination between eatables and non-eatables and simply live to maintain the perishable material body and its family. Such fallen conditioned souls are not worthy to be called Brahmanas, but in Kali Yuga they claim to be Brahmanas, and if a person actually tries to attain the Brahminical qualifications, they try to hinder his progress. This is the situation in the present age. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu condemned this principle very strongly. During his conversation with Ramananda Roy, he said that regardless of whether a person is born in a Brahmana family or Shudra family, regardless of whether he is a householder or a sannyasi, if he knows the science of Krishna, he must be a spiritual master. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had many so-called Shudra disciples like Haridas Thakur and Ramananda Roy. Even the Goswamis, who were principal students of Lord Chaitanya, were also ostracized from Brahmana society, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his grace, made them first-class Vaishnavas.
This is a struggle that the Vaishnavas have always had for a very long time with the society in general. Because this was the problem 500 years back that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to go through. This was the problem about 200 years back that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had to go through. This was the problem that Srila Prabhupada had to go through 50 years back, and even to this day. This is because of the misunderstanding of who a Brahmana is in the society. Right? The major misconception is that being a Brahmana is hereditary. If you're born to a Brahmin parents, then you are a Brahmana, or else you can never become a Brahmana. This is the understanding of most Smartha Brahmanas. They will tell you that in this life you can practice devotional service, or you can practice spirituality, so that you can be born in the next life as a Brahmana and be liberated. The condition is placed upon the birth, your birth as a Brahmana. But the problem that we have here is that the so-called Brahmanas who were there in the assembly of Daksha were not really qualified. You could clearly see that the qualification that Prabhupada is saying of a Brahmana is what? From the purport, does anybody remember? Can you use the mic? Who knows the science of Krishna consciousness. He says that in the end, but in the beginning he says Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. This is the very basic definition of who a Brahmana is that he knows about Brahman. So which means he is completely out of this material modes of nature and is beyond that and in the platform of Brahman. Brahma bhuta prasannatma nashauchati nakangshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. Krishna says in the Gita, right? When you are in that stage of Brahma bhuta, nashauchati nakangshati, you have no lamentation, you have no worries, and you look at everybody as equal. Samasarveshu bhuteshu, right? But in this case, they didn't really look at peoples as equal. They were siding with Daksha. This is the problem with the Brahmanas in that assembly, was that as Brahmanas, the intelligent class of the society, the class of the society that is expected to guide people properly, they should have stepped in and told Daksha that, no, what you did was wrong. Because in traditional societies, this is why a Brahmana didn't get a salary, right? Even you could have this guru, it could be any kind of guru, like a Kula guru, or like Dronacharya, who was the guru for martial arts. He wouldn't get paid, because if he got paid, then he was bound by the salary that he was getting from whoever his employer was. Therefore, he could not speak the truth. Therefore, the Brahmanas were always begging in a good way. People were actually happy to give alms to the Brahmanas. This is called Madhukari. They would go from door to door and beg for whatever they could get for that day and live off of very simple means. But what had happened is, the Brahmanas, although they were the educated class, the intelligent class, didn't use their intelligence properly. And Nandi's curse is very true in the age of Kali, like Prabhupada is saying in the purport, right? The so-called Brahmanas who are born in Brahminical families, they take to education, right? They go and perform, go and get educated in engineering or so many other areas. And even if you're really getting educated in the Vedas, they're doing it so that they can, not for the purpose of Vishnu Gati, like Nandishwara was saying. It's not for the purpose of attaining the Supreme. It is so that they can satisfy themselves. And from that position, they have a problem with others becoming Brahmanical also. Like Prabhupada is saying in the purport. Krishna is very clear that being a Brahmana is not hereditary. He says that in the Gita, that Chatur Varnam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. That Krishna has created the Varnashram system, but it is not based on birth. It is not a hereditary title that we can have. It is based on Guna and Karma, the activities that we perform and the qualities that we have acquired. This is Brahmana. But unfortunately in the society, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there, this was the exact same problem. That although Haridas Thakur was a devotee of the highest caliber, people were still looking at his birth, of that being a Mohammedan, being a Muslim, right? Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, where all the born in Brahmin families were working for the Muslim king, the Muslim ruler, the Qazi. Therefore, they were ostracized from the society. And practically they were given Muslim names, right? Dabir Kas and Shakar Malik. And therefore they were not considered Brahmanas. Although Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami were such exalted devotees of the Lord. So Mahaprabhu had to go through the struggle. And for his society, doing this was something that was unimaginable. That a sannyasi, leave alone a Brahmana, he was a sannyasi. And a sannyasi performing the last rites of a Muslim. Mahaprabhu personally did this for Haridas Thakur. He was teaching by example that Brahmana is not based on birth, it's based on the qualities that you acquire. In fact, Brahmana is just the first step in becoming a Vaishnava. Because Vaishnavas are much more higher than Brahmanas. Because when you are at the platform of a Brahmana, you are just at the platform of Brahman. When you are a Vaishnava, we've gone beyond it. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti Shabdyate. When you are in the platform of a Vaishnava, you know that God is a person. You're trying to develop your relationship with God. This is a much higher platform than that of a Vaishnava. Therefore, a Vaishnava has all the qualifications of a Brahmana. Krishna gives these qualities by which a Brahmana works in the Bhagavad Gita. Does anybody know that? How many of us here are Brahman initiated? Aspiring to be Brahmanically initiated. We should know this. What are the qualities that Krishna says is qualities by which a Brahmana works? This is the 18th chapter of the Gita. Cleanliness, truthfulness, austerity. What else? Samo, Dhamas, Tapas, Shaucham, Shantim, Arjavamevacha, Jnanam, Vijnanam, Astikyam, Brahma, Karma, Svabhavajam. We should know this. Because as Vaishnavas, we are much more than Brahmanas. We call ourselves Vaishnavas, right? So we should be much more than Brahmanas. So at least we should have the basic qualifications of who a Brahmana is. Brahmana means Sama. Sama means peaceful. So always peaceful. Because why? I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of a Vaishnava, right? Why is a Vaishnava Brahmana always peaceful? Mike?
They're always trusting in Krishna.
Yes, that's always a good answer for a Vaishnava. Right? But can you give any evidences? Can you give any evidences? Krishna says this is the peace formula in the Gita. Does anybody know what Krishna's peace formula in the Gita is? Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surdam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richiti. That the devotee knows gyatva mam shantim richiti. Therefore he is peaceful. What does he know? That Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. That Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer of all austerities and penances. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Krishna is the controller of all worlds. Surdam Sarva Bhutanam. Krishna is everybody's best friend, best well-wisher. Right? When a devotee knows this, he's thoroughly peaceful from this perspective. Dhamma. Does anybody know what Dhamma is? Self-control. Completely. He has complete control over his senses. This is the first thing that Rupa Goswami says. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jikhva vegam, udaropastha vegam, edan veganyo vishehe tadira, sarvamapi mam prativimsa sushyat. Prabhupada says that we all have to become Goswamis. As devotees, all of us are expected to become Goswamis. This is the first step from which we can actually become devotees. Without controlling our senses, there is no way that we can become devotees of the Lord. Of course, as devotees, we control the senses by utilizing the senses in Krishna's service, not by artificially trying to suppress the senses, right? And tapa. Tapa is what? Austerity. Like non-Brahmanas, people who we consider demons in the Bhagavatam, the austerities that they perform are incredible. Hiranyakashipu performed so much austerities, isn't it? But that was for a horrible reason. But the austerities that the devotees perform are so that we can please Krishna, we can serve Krishna. That is the kind of austerities that we perform. And the austerity that Prabhupada asked us to perform was what? Chanting 16 rounds. But from the 4 regulative principles, which principle corresponds to austerity? Yeah, intoxicants. If we are addicted to intoxication, we'll never be able to perform austerity, right? Therefore, if we are following the principle of not taking intoxication, what should increase? The corollary is that we should become more austere and austere and austere. That is the corollary, right? That's the positive injunction, positive aspect of the regulative principle. Because each regulative principle is tied to a positive aspect of dharma. No meat eating is tied to a positive aspect of compassion and mercy, right? If you're not eating meat, that's that's good. I'm not saying that you should not do it. But if that is not transforming into compassion towards others, then we are doing it in a very ritualistic manner, right? This is just the first step. But then there is something beyond it, right? The regulative principles on the surface are very straightforward. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. But doing these should actually positively create these qualities in us. Therefore, no intoxicants should create this quality of austerity in all of us, right? And shaucham. Shaucham is cleanliness. What is the principle that we follow to be clean? Illicit sex and chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Illicit sex is for external cleanliness. We do bathing and things like that. And illicit sex should, not performing illicit sex, should increase cleanliness in us, mind, body and soul. And chanting of the holy names is the ultimate cleanser, right? It scrubs everything out for us. Shantim. What is Shantim? No. That's the first one, Sama. Shantim means tolerance. Tolerance. A Brahmana is always tolerant. Irrespective of any circumstances that the Brahmana is put in, the Brahmana is always tolerant. We see that in the case of Lord Shiva. He was going through a horrible situation. And what was Lord Shiva's reaction? Tolerating it. He didn't say a word. And yet, everybody around was so agitated, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. A devotee is always tolerant. There is this verse in the Bhagavatam that talks about the qualities of a devotee. Right? Titikshava, Karunika, Suridam Sarvadehinam, Ajata Shatrava Shanta, Sadhava, Sadhu Bhushana. It says these are the qualities of a sadhu. So, of which the primary quality is Titikshava, that we're tolerating. And I remember this lecture, I think it's a lecture from Srila Prabhupada on this verse. He is talking about Titikshava, and this is specifically he's talking about Bombay. Prabhupada is in Bombay, and we know how much struggle Prabhupada went through to construct a temple for Shri Radha Ras Bihari there in Bombay, right? So many problems Prabhupada was having. People were giving incredible problems to the devotees. This is incredibly articulated by Giriraj Maharaj in his book, right? I'll build you a temple. So Prabhupada is saying, no, as devotees we have to tolerate it. We have to tolerate it. Okay, they're giving so many problems. We're trying to do something for their welfare, but they're giving us so many problems, we have to tolerate it. But why are devotees tolerating it? He's going to the next quality, which is Karunika. Karunika means what, you know? This is compassion, Karuna. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, the ocean of mercy, right? So that we can show mercy. Prabhupada is saying, we are tolerating all these things that these people are trying to do to us so that we can be merciful to the very same people who are actually giving us problems. You know, this is a Vaishnava. He's, in most cases, the maximum we'll do is stay away from the person who is giving us problems, isn't it? But the quality of a Uttama Adhikari, the Vaishnava of a highest order, is that he'll take problems and tolerate it and give mercy to the same person who is actually giving him problems. And we saw this yesterday in that drama that the kids were doing, right? That Nityananda Prabhu was physically hurt. And in spite of that, he is giving them mercy to the very same people who are actually hurting them. He was not just tolerating what they were doing, but also trying to be merciful to them, right? Karunika and Kshantim, right? Arjavam. What is Arjavam? No, honesty. A Brahmana is always honest. How can he be honest? Only when he is not tied to anything, right? Probably the Brahmanas in the court of assembly were tied to Daksha. They were expecting something from Daksha in return, so they couldn't speak anything about Daksha. So how can a Brahmana be honest if they are actually bound by something? Therefore, the Brahmanas were living a very simple life so that they can be honest with people. And honest in how Brahmanas were honest, you have to go to the 17th chapter, 15th verse, the austerities of speech. Speech has to be pleasant, it has to be beneficial to others and things like that. And we know Brahmanas in the Bhagavatam who were not following the austerities of speech, who were becoming angry. We know the example of one such Brahmana at least, Durvasa Muni. And we know what happens to Durvasa Muni in that case, right? So therefore, it's a combination of all these qualities that they have. And the most important is Astika. What is Astika? No. Being hasty? Theistic. Yeah, being theistic. I don't know what happened. Exactly. Nastika means one who doesn't follow the Vedas, who rejects the Vedas. So Astika means one who follows the injunctions of the Vedas. The Brahmanas base their life completely based on the Vedic literature, Vedic scriptures. And especially the Vaishnavas take the essence of all the Vedic literature, right? That is why a Vaishnava is much higher than the Brahmana, because they go to the very essence of what the Vedas are trying to say. Sometimes the Brahmanas are intoxicated by the flowery language of the Vedas, but the Vaishnavas should rise above it. Vedescha sarvair ahameva vedyo, Krishna says. Therefore, our goal is to satisfy Krishna, but not through any means, but through the means that Krishna has given to us through in the Vedas. And by not rejecting the Vedas, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Buddha is a Nastika. Why? Because he rejected the Vedas. So therefore, even Buddha is considered a Nastika. But as Vaishnavas, we do accept the Vedas, and we accept the cream of Vedic literature, as in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita, like that. And in the end, Prabhupada says, this is why a Brahmana is based on the qualifications and not just based by birth. If you're born to a Brahmin family, if you're born in a Brahmana family, then you have a very good chance that you'll become a Brahmana, right? You're there in that atmosphere where Brahmanical activities are going on. Therefore, your chances are good. But it's still up to you to cultivate those Brahmanical qualities. And Prabhupada is quoting this famous verse of Kiba Vipra, Kivanyasa, Shudra Kenonai, Jai Krishna Tattva Veta, Shai Guru Hoy. That it doesn't matter whether you are a Vipra. Vipra means what? Brahmana. Naham Vipro Nachanarapate, right? And Kiban Nyasi. Nyasi means sannyasi. Shudra Kenanoi. Or it doesn't even matter if you're a Shudra. What matters is Jai Krishna Tattva Veti. That you have to know the principles of Krishna consciousness. One who knows this Tattva is Shai Guru Hoy, is qualified to be a spiritual master. That's what Prabhupada is saying in the end. And this was the biggest thing that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did to us as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Because in his time, this was very prominent that the Smarta Brahmanas would not accept Vaishnavas as Brahmanas. And we have this very famous, I'll finish off with this, we have this very famous incident where there was this huge gathering of all the Brahmanas, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur was invited. But unfortunately, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was sick, so he could not go there. So he sent his son, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to that assembly. Although Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very young at that time, all these Brahmanas in that assembly were very, very elderly. So there, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke so highly of Brahmanas, and all the Brahmanas were saying, oh, this is so amazing. We thought he was going to speak for the other party, but he's speaking for us. No? But in the end, he said, and yet a Vaishnava is much better than all the Brahmanas. And at that point they were like, this is the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. So therefore it is even more important to us as followers of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as followers of Srila Prabhupada, who bestowed these Brahmanical qualifications on all of us who might not have been born in Brahmin families, so to behave incredibly, impeccably well, right? Because they can come back to us and point out to us and say, oh, this is what happens when you do this. Isn't it? If we don't somehow follow these Brahmanical qualities and etiquettes properly, then all the efforts that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur went through and Srila Prabhupada went through will go in vain, because people can speak ill and say, oh, see, they relax these things and now we have people who don't do anything. So it is even more, important for devotees to behave properly, behave perfectly as Brahmanas, and then of course as Vaishnavas. So those are some thoughts. Now we'll open it up for questions or comments. And yes, Mother Kunti.
So thank you so much for giving us so much insight and knowledge here. I had some temple management. Sorry, I was helping with something on my phone, and I apologize. It looked like I wasn't paying attention,
no
but
problem.
I was. So it's kind of like a tight wire, what you're describing, or as Srila Prabhupada has quoted many times, a razor's edge. Because even just a little slip up, it can really divide you from the holy names and divide you from the nectar of devotion to nectar of service.
Yeah.
So the question is that we know that we have to avoid all these offenses, and that we need to manifest the qualities that you have spoken about, that Krishna speaks about in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. I saw the synopsis. So what do we do when we keep, making this mistake over and over again? You just, some people say, oh, just keep going, keep trying. Well, at a certain point, you're just like, why? Why should I even try? Because coal is coal. You wash coal and it's just dirty,
Yeah. But we are not coal. We are incredible spiritual entities who are covered by
coal. I am coal.
No, none of us are coal. We are just covered by this dirt, right? And this is the point, bhakti will do this for us. We don't have to separately endeavor for these qualities. Through bhakti, this will all manifest. But what our focus should be is practicing devotional service as to our best of capabilities. Right? What we're trying to do is not become brahmanas. What we're trying to do is become devotees of the Lord. Right? But we acquire all these qualities if we practice devotional service properly. That's the point I was trying to make. Right? Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'm laughing because the last 2 weeks or so, maybe even more, it's been like a unit of learning of character and building characteristics of a Vaishnava, a Brahmin. And so this is, what you just said is what's really becoming quite confusing to me. Because we say that through pure devotional service, these characteristics just come developed.
Yeah.
But then there's also points where Srila Prabhupada says we need to develop these characters.
Yeah.
And we go through life trying to do better, and we make mistakes, and we, say, oh, I've got this anartha or this problem. And we say, try to fix it, But there's some situations where it doesn't feel like, you can win. Like you can speak from your heart and do the best you can to be proper and this and that, and there's no winning. So my question is there a point where you go, hey, this is just who I am? Like I got some, I don't know if I'm, how much Brahminical qualities I have, So because it gets tiring sometimes, like to try to be something different than you are,
Yes.
So what do you do?
So I have a clarification that I need you to make. What do you mean by winning?
Oh, well, what I mean by winning is that, like, sometimes you're put into a situation where you got to do your duty, and you can do it as nice as possible, and it's going to be taken in a way that's not what you mean.
Yeah.
I was recently in a position where I asked other people to do it. I said, can you please do this? Can you please do this? And it was like clear that it was like, nope, this is your job. So I go and I say this say the thing that I need to say, and I try to find everything in my heart to be kind and say to it, and just doing my duty. But it was taken in a way that I feel like I was misunderstood.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't what I meant. Like I was just trying to do my duty and be kind, and even with some words like, hey, please understand that, this isn't, in this way. But you get put in these situations where it's not going to come out good. You know, in a sense of
Yeah.
that somebody's going to be affected in a negative way. That's what I mean.
Yeah. This is the nature of this material world, and this is our nature, is that we are tiny, we are infinitesimal, and we can never satisfy everybody. We have to unfortunately get used to this reality. Only Krishna can satisfy everybody. I will not be able to satisfy everybody's expectations. It's impossible for me to do it. The only thing that we can do is be sincere in our duty, the way we perform our duty, and say, Krishna, I'm doing this so that it is to please you. And if Krishna is pleased, then the situation somehow, I've seen, even though it might look horrible in the beginning, somehow gets settled. And the other thing especially is, of course, this is a very generic thing, right? Of every context, things change. But in a society of devotees, we have to start becoming personal with each other and cultivate relationships. When we have that, then the chances of us being misunderstood are less. Because you know where I'm coming from, right? And you know me better. So even if I don't say the right words, you know me as a person. So therefore, it doesn't become into a really bad thing. But when it's coming from a very impersonal aspect of, this is the authority, he's saying this to me, he doesn't know anything about the person, it's just coming as an impersonal place where it's just raining down orders, things like that, then it's problematic.
Prabhu, you just said I know that I'm saying a little bit like, I don't mean to be a little bit jumpy, but I know I can feel it.
Yeah.
You just said we're infinitesimal.
Yeah.
Like how are we supposed to have personal relationships with everybody, and I have to tiptoe around and make sure that this person feels like this and that person feels like that.
No. With the people who you have to deal with directly, at least, you need to create this personal relationship. The thing is, in management, our spiritual master always says these 4 things: who am I, who are we, what is the process, and what do we need. Most of the time we do with what is the process and what do we need. We don't spend too much time on who am I and who are we, right? Once we spend the time on who am I and who are we, the process and what do we need follow. It's not a struggle to put in processes and then figure out what the things that we need. But in most cases, the way I'm saying about relationships and things like that is, who am I, who are we. This is not just a single person's endeavor. I'm saying as a community we have to come together to do this. When there are multiple people involved, you put in your endeavor, I also have to put in my endeavor, right, for it to work. Relationship means it's two-way, isn't it? It's not just a one-way thing. So when somebody else is trying to do this, because this is a cultural thing. How do we want to be as Vaishnava society? This is such a very big question. Think about this. As an international society for Krishna consciousness, do we have a common framework that all of us agree upon? I don't think so. I absolutely don't think so, that all of us agree upon a common framework of what it means to be a Vaishnava society. Yeah, you follow the 4 regulative principles and chant your 16 rounds, but what does it matter when you associate with devotees? Those are your own personal things that you do, isn't it? Following the 4 regulative principles and chanting the 16 rounds. But when 10 people come together, what is the expected norm of how we behave with each other? What is it to be a Vaishnava? What is expected out of me? How am I supposed to behave in a society of Vaishnavas? And if people are not doing it, what do we do about it?
I have to ask a clarifying question. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying because as a society we are not nurturing relationships, that people are put into a situation where one situation might not be exactly as rough as it may be, but because you've been treated in a way so many times, you take it like that. Yeah. So that one incident becomes a whole bunch of incidences.
Yeah.
I was treated like this, and I was treated like this, and I was treated like this, and I was treated like this. So when this happens,
correct.
It's...
And also, all of us come from different backgrounds, with our own different baggages. The way we react to certain situations is completely different based on different people, based on the samskaras that we have attained from so many lifetimes.
So we can, this is interesting, I mean, we should take responsibility for ourselves and
Yes.
how we can change.
Exactly.
But sometimes we can do it almost as nice as possible,
Yeah.
and you're in a lose-lose situation
Exactly.
because this person has just been treated in these ways
Yeah.
so many times, and then you're just the
Yeah.
the next man up, the next
Yeah.
person up.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Just pray to Krishna that, Krishna, I'm trying to do this from a very sincere perspective. And you please guide me. Right? Krishna is there within all of us. So he will give us the intelligence. And of course, we have external mentors and guru who will guide us in situations where we need guidance from, right? We ask, when we take all this and then when we act, then even beyond that things go out of our control, what can we do? We've tried our best. Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So, yesterday, I revealed my mind to you in confidence,
Yes.
and it was very beneficial. But I realized that that confusion came from me not remembering to be strict on myself and lenient on others. That confusion was based on that
Exactly.
attitude.
Yeah.
I turned it around. I was strict on everyone, and I was lenient on me. And when I turned it around, I became blind.
Yeah.
I couldn't see. It's like
Very
my
nice
glasses got broken.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
this
what
is one of the
Tamal
core
Krishnamurti
principles
said.
on which Vaishnava society can be built on, right? We try to give each other the benefit of doubt. Then there is not many problems. We genuinely try to give each other a benefit of doubt and try to think that people are really sincere. They're not really trying to... Because, you know why this happens, in my speculation at least, in the material world, we've been exploited by so many people. We constantly in the outside world, we can't trust anybody. So therefore, we bring in those insecurities into a society of Vaishnavas also. Therefore, you're trying to really be genuine with somebody, but they're thinking, oh, what does this person want? What is this person trying to do? We have to somehow get out of this conditioning that all of has been, right? For that, we start developing these relationships, getting to know each other better, to say that, okay, I'm not like completely perfect, but I still am trying to do something for your benefit.
The sad thing is that people can live in this society all their life and they're still doing the same things.
Yeah.
They're still dealing with those things that you just said.
Yeah.
They've been treated this way over and over and over, and so
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yes, Mataji.
So you went over the qualities of a Brahmana, and they're all very attractive and something that I would love to cultivate. However, I feel basically I'm not like I have certain other natures which are very prominent. So does that mean that if you identify as someone who's more interested in the business qualities, that you cannot have or aspire for these? How do we say, okay, these are Brahminical, so you have to aspire to be a Brahmana to have these qualities? Or can you relate to another nature and then, how to aspire for such qualities?
Yeah. So especially with the example that you were giving, right? Prabhupada says if you're a businessman, you cannot be thoroughly honest. Right? The quality of arjavam. Right? So, of course, you have to say, oh, I'm absolutely not getting any profit out of this. Although you might be getting a profit out of this. This is an example that Prabhupada would give often, like absolutely no profit on this. But then you have to, as a businessman. So you have your own nature, that's fine. But we try to use our nature in Krishna's service and all these qualities automatically start coming. Ultimately, Prabhupada says in one of the purports that the Vedic injunction is atato brahma jignasa, that all of us have to inquire about the Brahman, right? It doesn't matter whether you have a Shudra quality or a Vaishya quality or a Kshatriya quality. The way we approach it might be different for different people, right? For a Brahmana, it is yajan yajan, patan patan. He's thoroughly fixed in reading the scriptures, trying to propagate it to others. For a Vaishya, it might be supporting the entire structure, right? For a Vaishya, earn money, support temples, and in that way trying to become closer to Krishna. All of us have our own natures, and all of us can get closer to Krishna in our own natures. But ultimately, the natures are temporary, right? When we perform devotional service, we get to the point of Gopi Bharturu Padakamalayo. We are Naham Vipro Nachanarapatir, Napi Vaishyo Nashudro. These are all our bodily upadhis. As we practice devotional service, then our real identity comes up. At that point, yes. All of us should aspire. Prabhupada wanted all of us to cultivate these qualities, right? That he wanted to create a class of Brahmanas. That is why it is attractive, right? That is why when a Brahmana walks in, it's not what he says that is attractive to people. It is his qualities, it's his character. That is what attracts people. That's why a devotee, people are attracted to devotees, right? Prabhupada writes in the beginning, preface of the Srimad Bhagavatam, he's incredibly, has this humble quality. He says, oh, the words that I say might not be really grammatically proper, or it might not be sophisticated words. He's quoting, I think, Prahlad Maharaj, saying, but I'm trying to say something sincere, therefore thoroughly honest people will consider what I'm saying. So the focus for us as Vaishnavas is more character. And as we chant, this starts developing, definitely. Sankirtan definitely does this for us. Okay, Prabhu, and then I'll come to you. You're really over time, I don't know what to do. Breakfast, we can, I was just saying.
That's okay.
But when we're having breakfast, I can be with you and answer the questions. I have to listen to what the boss is saying. Yes, I didn't even see the time. We usually try to stop at 8:30, push it to 8:35. We are like 8:40 already. But I'm here for your question. Okay. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha kalpatrubhyascha, Kripa sindubhya evacha, Patitanam pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakodi Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.